for them to say, yeah, I want a man, I want to be married, I want to be a wife, I want to be a mom, but you can't hold me accountable. See, that's where the rubber hits the road. Women don't want to be held accountable. And they have an escape plan, an escape route, an escape hatch. Right? They can pull the cord on the parachute and just bail out. And so they can never truly be held accountable. The same way that guy with his big mouth can't be held accountable. Not anymore. And it's fucked our world up. It's fucked it all up. Now, back when prostitution was legal, and if a woman couldn't get married because she wasn't marrying quality, or she didn't want to do that, or no man found her acceptable, no one gave a shit about her. Right? They said she had to, if she wanted sex, she was a slut. If she needed to make money and use sex, she was a whore. And they had bastard children left and right. And the world needs bastard children. Someone's got to do the hard work. Right? That's just how it was. If you were a bastard child, yeah, you were in the labor force. Right? Well, enough on that. But see, women, they wanted to be independent from accountability. They wanted to have that restriction on them relieved. They needed to be independent of what I would call self-responsibility. And when they outlawed prostitution, when they made it more than just morally reprehensible to respectable women, when they made it illegal, men didn't have any choice but to try and marry in order to have sex, these other women. And these other women, independent-minded, right? I can take care of myself. Now they realized that they had some sort of angle to pull on men. Right? Now men had to deal with their personality flaws, with their psycho quality. Right? You couldn't just look at a woman and go, hey, I'll give you $50 for an hour. We're talking inflation-adjusted dollars. $50 for an hour. And then I'm done with you. I don't ever want to fucking hear from you again. You don't get to say shit. You don't own me. None of that, right? And the woman would say, I'll take your $50. I'll give you sex for whatever. And then you don't ever get to tell me anything again either. And everything worked out just fine. It was a great arrangement. When they destroyed that, that put men in a position where they said, okay, look, in order to have sex, I've got to marry you. And the woman said, yeah, see, now you have to marry me. Now you have to put up with my psycho qualities. Right? Now you have to. And then when divorce became easy, the no-fault divorce, that's when the problem became even more compounded. Now not only did men have to marry women, but women had a vehicle, an escape route by which they could leave and take from the man. You see, what happened with this is men who didn't want to get married, they lost the ability to use prostitutes. See, men want independence from the cost of women. Independence from the cost of women. And that has gone away, right? Because of the system they put in place. What do women want? You know, they want independence from accountability. They don't want self-responsibility. By getting rid of prostitution, women now became a commodity that had to be paid for, and that they could turn around and punish us with. So these personality flaws or quirks or psycho problems they have, now men are forced to deal with them, right? Forced to expose themselves. And so a woman can be pretty good all the way around, but at some point in your relationship with her, that one psycho quality is going to allow her to fuck your life up. In some cases it shows up in a month, in other cases it's a year, 5 years, the midlife crisis. You know, it just takes that one flaw, that one psycho quality to come out, and you're like, hey, I want to be independent from you. But that cost is there. So I guess in examining all this, right, as I was in this group therapy, this estrogen up to the eyes, I realized what the problem was. That we've all been duped. These women that aren't worth marrying, right? These women that aren't worth marrying, right? They know they're not. They don't want to be. They want to be independent. They want to be free. They've been told they're as good as a man, as smart as a man, and all these other things. But they'll drag a man into a relationship. And I think there's probably a lot of men who naturally don't like women, don't want to be with women, don't want to have a wife. But because of the system they had in place, those women had to quit being whores, and those guys had to quit going to whores. We had a good system for a long time. Good system for a long time. Right? You just didn't have to. If you wanted a woman, you could pay for one. If a woman didn't want to put up with a man, she didn't have to. So my solution, of course, is to bring back prostitution. Bring it back. Watch what happens in relationships. How many men, right, do you know that would rather pay $50 or $100 for a good time with a girl, get his nuts off, get his rocks off, and be done with her? Psh, done. Rather than spend $50, $100, $150, $200, $300 on a date, right, just to try and get a piece of ass from someone who has a personality flaw, right? No, man, it's completely fucked up. The system's fucked up. That's how they've done it. Imagine how good the good girls would be, the ones that think they're marriage quality, if they knew that men would look at them and go, why am I going to bring you flowers and a card and take you on a date when I can go to that other girl over there who's going to do everything I ever wanted in bed for half the cost, and I don't have to put up with her shit. But you, with your fucking personality flaws here, miss, I think I'm worth marrying. I've got to woo you and charm you, fucking court you and kiss your ass. Women would be out of business if prostitution was legal. They'd be out of business. Let's go one step further and say, well, let's reinstitute a man's ability to not ever lose his house, his truck, his car, right? To be destroyed. Right? Take that away. Take that power away from those women who now have to compete with prostitutes for men's affections. Oh, that drives them nuts. Right? Imagine how much better those women would act, the ones that think they're worth marrying. They would have to face some uncomfortable facts. Either they're worth marrying or they're not. And if they're not worth marrying because of their little psycho flaws, if they're not worth marrying for their psycho flaws, they're going to have to come to terms with that and be a slut with kids, right, bastards eventually, or be a prostitute. They would have to accept that in their life. That's what they are. Instead, right now, they're told they're the same as man, they're as good as man, they can earn their own living, they don't need us. And they get to labor under some crazed delusion that they're all worth marrying. Because we're in a situation in this nation where prostitution is a rarity in the legal sense. Right? Imagine how hard these good girls would be if they knew when they got married, they were no longer going to be a slut. They were no longer going to have to face being a whore to make money. But they were going to have to do as they're told and put up with a good spanking or two. right? A good bitch slap when they deserve it. Because no one's perfect, as I said. Nobody is perfect.